Welcome to the deep dive. You give us the research, we sift through it all, and pull out the key insights you need, well, right away. Today we're looking at spiritual sight, really getting into John chapter 9. And the source material itself kicks off with this powerful image, the Titanic. The lookout couldn't spot the iceberg in time, and the real danger was hidden unseen. That theme, not being able to see the danger, it connects right into our topic.
It does, but it's worth noting a key difference. The Titanic is about, human oversight failing to see danger. John 9, though, it frames the man's blindness right from the start as having a divine purpose. It's less about avoiding danger and more about God revealing something through the healing.
Ah, that's a crucial distinction.
Yeah.
So not just failure, but purpose. Okay, and the setting here is important too, right? This is right after the Feast of Booths.
Exactly. Israel's longest feast, and a big part of it involved these massive lights, these candelabras, lighting up Jerusalem, a huge spectacle.
And right in the middle of that, in the previous chapter, Jesus makes this incredibly bold statement. I am the light of the world.
Yeah, hugely provocative. He's basically inserting himself into this major national celebration of God's presence. So John 9, our focus today, is showing us what that looks like in practice. It's like watching that claim play out in living color with this story of the man born blind.
All right, let's dive into that story, John 9, verses 1 to 5. It starts with Jesus seeing the man. The man's blind from birth, dependent, just sitting there.
And notice Jesus sees him. The initiative starts with Jesus. The man isn't asking. He's just there. Blind since birth, that detail is key. This isn't something recent. It's his whole life.
And the disciples, their first reaction is, well, pretty typical, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Very human. Rabbi, who sinned? Was it this man or his parents that he was born blind? They immediately connect suffering to specific sin. Someone must be to blame.
It's that cause and effect thinking we often fall into. But Jesus just cuts right through that.
Directly. He says, no, it wasn't a specific sin by him or his parents. This happens so that the works of God might be displayed in him. That's a radical reframing.
So the blindness itself becomes the stage for God's glory.
Precisely. And that's the core spiritual point here. This man's physical blindness is, in a way, a picture of everyone's spiritual state before encountering Christ. We think we see, but spiritually we're in the dark until God opens our eyes.
That links back to Jesus' purpose he mentioned. Coming for judgment, he said.
Right, but not judgment in the sense of condemnation necessarily, but distinction. It's so that those who do not see may see. It's about offering sight.
And he feels this urgency, right? We must work while it is day. Night is coming.
Yes. We must work the works of him who sent me. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. That we is significant.
I noticed that. It's not just I must work.
Exactly. He's including his disciples. He's showing that this work, this bringing of light and sight, isn't just for him. It's a mission he's passing on. I'm the light now, but we, my followers, will continue this.
Okay, so dependence is the start. Then comes the process of healing. And the method Jesus uses is, well, it's earthy.
It really is. He spits on the ground, makes mud, puts it on the man's eyes. Seems almost strange.
And then tells him, go wash in the pool of Siloam.
Right. And the sources emphasize it's not about magic mud or special water. The power comes through the man's obedience to the command. Just doing what Jesus said.
And John, the writer, adds that note about the name Siloam.
Yes, he pauses the story to tell us Siloam means sent. That's not accidental. It turns the healing from just a miracle into a sign.
A sign pointing to Jesus himself as the one sent by God, the Messiah. Every detail seems loaded with meaning.
So the man obeys, washes, and he can see. But, as the sources point out, that physical sight isn't the end of the story. His understanding, his spiritual sight, that grows over time, right? It's a process.
Absolutely. It's fascinating to track. First, his neighbors are amazed, asking, isn't this the guy who used to sit and beg? He tells them simply, the man called Jesus made mud. He knows him by name as the one who did this thing. Just the man called Jesus. Pretty basic identification.
Very basic. But then the Pharisees get involved and they start grilling him. Under pressure, his understanding develops.
How so?
When they push him on who this Jesus is, he takes a step up. He says, he is a prophet.
Okay, so from a man called Jesus to a prophet, that's definite growth.
It's a significant leap. He's recognizing Jesus speaks for God. And this happens because he's facing opposition.
And that opposition is intense. The Pharisees are split. Because it happened on the Sabbath, some are furious.
Right. This man is not from God. He doesn't keep the Sabbath. But others are thinking, hang on, how can a sinner do signs like this? They're divided by the evidence right in front of them.
So they try to undermine the miracle itself. They call in his parents.
Yeah, they try to verify, was he really born blind? It shows how desperate they are to dismiss this.
And the parents' reaction tells its own story. Fear.
Oh, absolutely. They confirm he was born blind, but then they back off completely. We don't know who opened his eyes. Ask him. He's old enough.
Why the hesitation?
The text is explicit. They were afraid of being put out of the synagogue. Basically, excommunication, social and religious ruin, fear of what people think, fear of the authorities kept them from celebrating or acknowledging Jesus.
So that leaves the man himself to face the authorities alone. They bring him back in.
And they try to pressure him again. Give glory to God. We know this man Jesus is a sinner. They're trying to force him to choose between God, as they define him, and Jesus.
But the pressure seems to have the opposite effect. It solidifies his stance.
It really does. He gives this incredible response. Simple, direct, and completely unshakable. Whether he is a sinner or not, I do not know. He refuses to get drawn into their theological debate.
And the core of it.
One thing I do know, I was blind, now I see. It's pure testimony, based entirely on his own undeniable experience. He can't explain everything, but he knows that.
That's powerful. He anchors himself in his experience. But the Pharisees aren't satisfied, are they?
Not at all. They keep pushing him, trying to get him to explain how Jesus did it, probably looking for a loophole, some way to discredit it.
And the man, he seems to get tired of it. He turns the tables.
He does. It's quite bold. He says, look, I already told you and you didn't listen. Why do you want to hear it again? And then the zinger, do you also want to become his disciples?
Wow. That's confrontational. He's gone from basic identification to challenging the religious leaders.
It's a massive leap in confidence born directly out of that conflict. He's not just defending anymore, he's provoking.
And how do they react to that?
Predictably, perhaps. They are furious. They revile him, insult him. They fall back on their established identity. We are disciples of Moses. We don't even know where this fellow comes from. It's that classic resistance to anything new that challenges their system.
And then the final insult.
They attack him personally based on the very condition Jesus healed. You were born in utter sin and you would teach us. It's dripping with contempt. And then they throw him out. Cast him out of the synagogue, out of the community.
Rejected by the religious system for clinging to his experience and his healer. But that rejection isn't the end of the story.
No, it's actually the setup for the climax. The text says Jesus heard that they had cast him out, and then Jesus found him.
Jesus seeks him out, actively finds him after he's been rejected.
Yes. The world pushes him away, but the light, Jesus, pulls him closer. And Jesus gets right to the heart of it. He asks him, do you believe in the Son of Man?
That title, Son of Man. Why is that specific title so important here?
It's not just good teacher or prophet. In the context of Daniel 7 and Jewish understanding, Son of Man was a major messianic title, pointing to divine authority and ultimate kingship. Jesus is asking for a much deeper level of belief now.
And the man's response shows he's ready, but still needs that final piece of clarity.
Right. He asks, and who is he, sir, that I may believe in him? He trusts Jesus, the one who healed him, but needs the final connection made explicit. Who is this Son of Man?
And Jesus reveals himself directly.
You have seen him, and it is he who is speaking to you. No ambiguity. The man who was blind now sees the Son of Man, both physically and spiritually.
And the man's reaction.
Immediate and total, Lord, I believe. And then, crucially, he worshipped him. That's the destination. From physical blindness and dependence, through healing and opposition, to full belief and worship of Jesus as Lord.
That's the complete journey from darkness to light, culminating in worship.
Exactly. But the chapter doesn't end quite there. Jesus makes one final challenging statement to the Pharisees who are still hanging around listening.
Right, verses 39 to 41. He says he came into the world for judgment.
That those who do not see may see, and that those who see may become blind. It sounds paradoxical.
And the Pharisees, overhearing this, immediately get defensive. What, are we blind too?
Of course. They consider themselves the sighted ones, the experts in God's law.
So how does Jesus respond to their blindness?
His answer cuts to the core of their problem. Spiritual pride. He basically says, if you recognize you were blind, if you admitted your need, your sin, your dependence on God's mercy, then you wouldn't be guilty because you could receive sight.
But because you insist you can see.
Your guilt remains. Their claim of self-sufficiency, the refusal to admit any spiritual blindness, is precisely what keeps them in the dark. True spiritual sight requires humility and awareness that we need God's light and grace.
Wow. Okay, so let's pull this together. This deep dive into John 9 really gives us some key takeaways about spiritual sight and our relationship with God, the source of light. First, it just screams dependence, doesn't it? The man born blind couldn't do anything to earn his sight. He was utterly dependent on Jesus seeing him, finding him, acting first. It starts with God's initiative.
Absolutely. It demolishes any idea of earning God's favor. It's about receiving grace, which leads, as we saw, ultimately to worship.
And second, the role of opposition seems huge here. It wasn't just an obstacle, it was actually the catalyst for the man's growth.
His journey from just knowing a man called Jesus to worshiping the Son of Man was kind of forged in that fire, being questioned, challenged, and ultimately rejected by the establishment. The pressure clarified his faith.
Okay, so that leads to a final thought for you, the listener, to consider, building on that idea of opposition. The source material seems to suggest that if we only pray for comfort, for ease, for convenience, well, we might actually be hindering our own spiritual growth.
Because comfort and convenience don't stretch you. They don't force you to clarify what you really believe or to depend more deeply on God.
Right. So the question to reflect on is this. Where in your own life might some discomfort, some opposition, some pressure actually be necessary right now for your next step of growth? Something to think about.